Got my keys. Oh no, your shoe came off. We're back at the lake today, enjoying the weather and the water and the slide. Kelly, having fun? Yeah. We're hanging out, eating some grapes. Yeah. Mmm. Chew really good, okay? Yep. There's no plastic in our little bag. And again, Wyatt won't go near the water and he won't keep his hat on. So we're staying in the shade for a little while. We're watching Kelly float in like a foot of water. Silly guy. Tomorrow we're starting our Zero Waste July challenge because it's July 1st. So the day you're watching this, you'll see. I have a lot to do to be able to do that. I have to make new produce bags because a lot of mine have torn. I also need to finish our budget because along with cutting out waste, we're just being really due diligent about where our money is going. Huh. That's us. Say hi. Yeah, Mr. Great Face. Look at you swimming. This doesn't look that appetizing right now, but I'm making a vegan stroganoff. It's dairy free, it doesn't have any dairy, it uses tahini and some vegetable broth, a little bit of lemon and shallots, and it could easily be zero waste. Unfortunately, it's not zero waste. Again, the pasta's from a box and the tahini was from a container that I had left over. And so anyway, it's a really, really great recipe that I'll include below in the description. It tastes so good. I don't know if it tastes exactly like stroganoff because it's been a very long time since I've had it. I just love that it's dairy free, and it could easily be gluten free by just putting in by using like a rice flour to thicken and then gluten free pasta. It's very savory and really good. Oh, and it uses mushrooms instead of meat. It turned out great. There's some fresh rosemary in there. I added too much. I did what the recipe said. I would add less if I were you. But it looks really pretty. Dinner was so good tonight. It reminded me of my childhood with the stroganoff, and it was not exactly a summer dish because it was very like, it wasn't heavy or anything like that because there wasn't really any oil. There was tahini in it and there wasn't any dairy, but it was really good. But it was hot and like savory, which isn't technically hot summer weather stuff, but it just sounded really good to me and I found it online and got excited. Tomorrow we're cutting out the waste, and when we cut out waste, that also means recyclables. So bottles, cans, cardboard, anything like that. So this is something that we did last year and we did really successfully, and so far we've kind of made allowances for it. But I've done a lot of research around recycling and the energy that goes into it, and Shane is kind of, I don't know if he wants me to share this, but he's kind of on the side of that recycling is a scam and that it's not really effective, it's so much more energy, it costs a lot of money, blah blah blah. I've done some research and there's some evidence around that. I agree though, the energy, like the idea that a bottle was made and just like something had to be made and then it's going to be cut down and reproduced into something else, whereas you're not just using that bottle intact as is, that specific bottle. There's this idea in waste that either the person, the consumer, the person purchasing the item is responsible for its disposal, or it's the producer of the item that's responsible for providing you with the item in a way that you don't have to deal with the disposal. They have to deal with it, so they have to deal with the costs. There are a number of articles and thoughts, I guess, online about who should be responsible for how we receive products. So whether it's the producer that is responsible for making sure that the product is something that we can receive and then give them back the container, or receive it in a way where a container is reusable or unnecessary, something like that, bring your own container, or that you can bring the bottle back, or that the consumer is responsible for getting rid of the waste through buying, like, for example, Shane bought me this because this is the last day that we're buying like wine bottles cheaply, cheap wine. From now on, I'm going to have to go to a winery and get a jug or a bottle of wine filled, and it's going to be twice as much money. So that means less wine, but higher quality and less convenience, more time, that kind of a thing. So it's a trade-off. And the wine industry in specific, I've read a number of articles about this, the number of bottles needed that need to be created and shipped everywhere is a huge cost to the environment. It's not very sustainable, and it's something that's just, it's kind of old world marketing. It's a wine needs to be put in a bottle. Yeah, people can argue it's for flavor and etc., but does it really need to? This whole idea of boxed wine, and the company that I go to refill my bottles, they also do plastic. So this guy, the little plastic bag that's in your boxed wine, they make it just with the plastic bag in there. So you can squish a bunch of wine together basically in a truck to ship places, versus if it's in a bottle, the amount of work that has to go into shipping that bottle is a lot. Not even accounting for actually having to create that bottle. Going back to what I was talking about, the producer either dealing with the waste or the consumer dealing with the waste. And the general, what happens right now in purchasing and that kind of a thing with us, is that the consumer has to handle the waste. And it kind of irritates me when you think about it. If you really think about it, every month you pay for your garbage and you have to collect it, take it out to the garbage receptacle, and then push it out to the corner or out to your driveway, and then bring it back in every week for your entire life. It's kind of silly. Or you could just not have any garbage at all. Like Bea Johnson, she has no garbage. She has a mason jar full of garbage every year. That's crazy. That's so much less. I don't know, now that you guys, do you really think about garbage that much? I think it's just me that thinks about garbage because I'm interested in it. But it kind of becomes just a way of life. You don't really think about it until you sit down and you're like, wow, I make a lot of garbage. We're going to see if we can see the Star of Bethlehem, which is Venus and Jupiter coming together. And when I was little, we went on a camping trip, and it was one of like my 3rd grade projects, something like that, where we had, my dad and I looked through binoculars on our camping trip at the planets, and I remember looking at Venus. It was fun. It's because there's so many silly trees around here. No planets. At least not from where we are. You can't see it. The trees are blocking them. But Shane's watching the Red Bull channel, and I'm gonna go do dishes.